All right, everybody. All right. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you, guys. Welcome, everybody that came in today to actually talk to us. And today we are here Facebook Live, and we have live audience, and we actually also have live audience on Facebook as well. So we can actually take questions on Facebook as they come in. And then we can also take questions after we actually ask the questions to Alex and Andrea after we're done, then we open it up to the floor. But today I'm going to introduce myself. I am Michael with Coldwell Banker, Las Olas, and I'm proud to represent Las Olas. Yay! Anyway, so today with us, we actually have Alex with us today, and we have Andrea. Alex, tell us a little bit about who you are.
Pleasure to be here. Well, my name is Alex Kulichenko. I have a commercial insurance agency that I'm a partner of, and also we have a residential personal line agency, and it's called Goosehead Insurance. So I've been in insurance since 2020.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Alex and Miss Andrea. Dímelo.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Well, I'm Andrea Zinno with a guaranteed rate, and I have 10 years of experience in the mortgage industry. And yeah, we're here today to discuss all the lending programs that we offer.
All right. Yeah. So again, we are talking to a live audience. In the background, we're actually just looking at Facebook as well. So let's actually go ahead and talk to the audience as well. And we do have a mic on board as well. So we're going to answer just 5 typical questions that we do have mostly for the insurance agencies, which is Alex, and that things that he faces these days and things that we should know. As I am actually a real estate agent, right? I hope you know that by now. Okay, first off, I apologize. I want to give a shout out to Maggie's for allowing us to host this today. So this is Maggie's in Oakland Park, Maggie's Coffee Shop. If you have not been here, you are missing out. It is actually really, really good. And
best
coffee ever. And they once a month they also host a car show here as well. So again, thank you to Maggie's. Thank you, Milan, for opening your doors to us. And this will be hosting some stuff once a month. We'll be bringing in vendors. All right, we're going to start the questions off with Alex today. One of the questions that we do have for Alex is, how should a homeowner when should a homeowner ask you to rerun their insurance to see if they qualify for a better rate?
Well, the market changes all the time. Pretty much every insurance company rebalances the risk on nearly a monthly or a quarterly basis. So I always recommend that people rerun their policy at least once during their policy period. Once every 6 months is pretty helpful because if there's additional discounts, if the risk premiums have lowered on your property in your area, the insurance reflects that almost immediately. So if you're not running it every 6 months, you're probably leaving money on the table.
Wow, that's actually quite steep. 6 months, huh? And then we were told a year to 2 years, and here we're hearing 6 months, people. So think about that one. Think about how much money you're leaving on the table by not doing your due diligence and actually just putting a timer or a reminder on your phone saying, hey, send a text message to my insurance guy to rerun it. If your insurance guy is maybe a little behind because there's a lot going on, you know, they fall behind, or you need a new insurance agent. Here's mine. You know, get a reminder, set a reminder to actually check and see when you can get better policies. And it's okay to compare with other agencies. You know, it's okay to reach out to other agencies, but make sure they understand Florida, what's going on in Florida. You can't reach out to agents in other states and think you're going to get the same response, right?
Sure. You have to be licensed in Florida. Getting licensed in Florida is it's a little bit tougher than a lot of other states, but there are agents that have multiple licenses. But just like what Michael said, if you've got a good agent, you should be working with a broker that has multiple carrier access. I work with 7. We just admitted our 74th carrier in our company today. And so I have access to 74 carriers. Now, if you go to an agent that only represents one company, they only have one product to sell you, and that's the price. In our company, we shop around the broader market. So if it's not the company that you're with, the carrier that you're currently with, and there's another one that has a better rate, we find that for you. So that's kind of the difference between a single carrier agency versus a broker.
Right on. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. All right. This next question is going to be for Andrea. Hola, Andrea. Hey.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm so excited about it because we actually came from another shoot. So that's why her and I are connecting right now. Anyway, so Andrea, tell us, what is the first step someone can take before they start looking for a home?
First step, absolutely, is to get pre-qualified. Yeah, you need to know, what can you afford. You have to have an idea how much you're willing to pay a month. That's absolutely the first step. And then obviously, when you're gonna start looking for a property, you have to have that letter, the pre-qual letter, handy, or otherwise, most likely you're not even gonna have access, to any showings.
Yeah, and that's actually helps a lot of us agents as well, right? Because we run around, and especially with gas prices and heat and stuff like that here in South Florida, we spend a lot of time out and about. And if we don't have a direction and we're just driving you around just because something looks nice and fancy, but the reality is you can't afford it, why set yourself up? Get pre-qualified and, know what you can get. That way you set your expectations to where they need to be.
I agree.
Thank you. All right, moving on to the next question, Alex. This is actually one of those things that's it's interesting because we have to be honest about this question, right? And why do you think people just don't ask for a discount when on their insurance? What is it about people that they're just like, maybe I'll call them next week, or my grandmother's been here for a long time, I stay with this policy, whatever. What are your thoughts on why people are not reaching out asking, get me a better rate, give me a discount?
I think ultimately it comes down to education. And for the uninitiated, insurance is just kind of a second thought. But the people that get involved in this and know what their coverages are, they spend the time on the phone. Like with every one of my clients, when we run a policy, part of my process is I call the client and we go through the insurance policy line by line. So if you're buying a new condo, and I did this with your client that you sent to me a few weeks ago, and we go through it line by line. After that, people walk away with a tremendous amount of confidence about their insurance. They can ask the right questions. So next time they call into me and they tell me, hey, I want to reduce my liability from $300,000 to $100,000, or I want to increase it to $500,000, they have an understanding of what kind of impact that's going to have on their premium. And at the same time, if you understand your insurance, if you have a line-by-line discussion with me, you're going to understand how to get your discounts, because you're going to know where you could cut, where you could trim, what you're comfortable with, what kind of coverages you have. And a lot of people just don't take the time to do that, but I make sure to educate all my clients.
And that's the difference between having somebody that, is there and has your back versus somebody that's been in the family for a while. Yes, it's cool that your dad, had you on their policy, or your grandma had you on their policy, or grandma had dad and dad had you. But, it's time to break that chain, and it's time to get your own policy. Time to grow up and actually get somebody that understands and can offer you a better discount, especially for us that are grown-ups now, that we really truly need to understand car insurance, property insurance, and health insurance. I'm not saying that he does health insurance. I'm not sure if he does that, but anyways, so health insurance, car insurance and property insurance. Thank you for answering that question. All right, back to Andrea. Oh yeah, so tell us, the standard used to be 20% down. Is that still the case?
No, that's not the case. That's not the case. If the property and the buyer qualifies, we can always do a conventional or an FHA loan. So I would say the standard is you have to have about 9 to 10% total as a minimum. That's the number. That's the number.
And that just across the board for a lot of the different loans? Is that just like one demographic, one population, or is that just like
I would say that is for just FHA and conventional? Okay. That is the lowest down payment, and then you also have to add the closing costs. So you have to have about 9 to 10% of the purchase price in your bank account to qualify. But there's always other options. You can apply for bonds, you can apply for a down payment assistance like we spoke before, the Hometown Heroes. There's always the seller concessions. That's another way to qualify the client and help with those costs.
So, and that's the thing too, there's a lot of not little programs, but programs that we can actually tap into. And the more we are informed, because we work closely with Andrea, and they keep us informed on things that are out there for the population, and we try to get you as agents as much as we can to the closing table. Thank you for that. All right, back to Alex. All right. So one of the things, Alex, here in South Florida, what is the one thing a homeowner can do to actually lower their premium? A small thing, not something like, oh, replace a roof. I mean, that's a big thing.
If you have a home and you don't have any additional structures, like you don't have a shed in the back or you don't have a fence, a lot of insurance policies will include part of their policy. It's called coverage B. It's additional structures. Now, if you don't have any additional structures to insure, why is that piece in there? Why are you paying for it? So just simply asking that is already going to discount your insurance from what you're paying. Very easy.
And I think that's one of the, again, I don't know just yet how insurance policy is. So there's, as when we are looking at properties, we always get asked, is it in a flood zone? We're in Florida, everything's a flood zone. But the thing about it is, does that matter to you guys in the zoning planning? Because we were just redistrict and zoning. So does that matter if it's yellow, if it's red, if it's pink, if it's blue? Does it matter if it's 100 years or it's 1,000 years? Does that play into it?
It does. There's quite a few insurance companies that don't want to insure homes over 20 years old. Most insurance companies, almost all of them, don't insure homes with a roof over 20 years old, which you know that from this business. So if your roof is under 20 years old, your home is under 20 years old, you have the whole menu of options. You have all the carriers available to you. But if your home is over 20 years old, you're going to have limited options. But coming back to, and for a person buying a house that's over 20 years old with a roof over 20 years old, you kind of have to take what you could get. And we have a strategy around that, how to just cross the finish line for your clients so we don't blow up the deal for your clients. So if you do have a client like that, we work with them.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. And I remember that. So revisit, what is it called? Your, the doc where what's on there.
The declarations page, and see
ask questions, people.
Right. Coverage B.
Coverage B. Yes, ask questions. Don't just assume that everything's okay. All right, back to Andrea. All right, Missy. Here's a serious question for you.
Go ahead. I'm ready.
Oh, what is the difference between pre-qualified and pre-approved?
So a pre-qualify, I would say, you get the basic information. You do a soft credit pull, you check the score and you check, the income of the person. Now in a pre-approval, you go deeper. You review the income, you review the assets, you check, the property. For example, if it's a condo, you make sure that, we actually have the program and they qualify for the, whether it's a 5% or a limited review or a 20% if it's a non-warrantable condo. So I would say between both, a pre-approval is a stronger, absolutely, to bring to the table when making an offer, yes.
So you agents heard that from her. So remember, so if somebody brings you a letter of qualification versus approval, it holds better weight as an offer. And I think that's another thing that we should actually also educate agents, is that the difference between two of them, right? So if two offers, one brings this and one brings it, which one's a better offer, right? So we need to educate each other on that matter as well. Thank you for that. That's actually a really good answer. Thank you. All right, moving on back to Alex. I think that this is actually one of the good ones. And let me see. So yeah, so a new roof or wind mitigation inspection really make a difference in the down payment?
It does make a pretty big difference because a new roof is probably the most expensive item on an insurance policy. If you have a new roof, you get the biggest discounts. Typically, insurers, carriers will give the biggest discounts when it's related to the roof. So an older roof, you're going to pay more. A brand new roof, you should be shopping the market.
Yeah. Okay. That's actually really good. Thank you. Yeah. And then maybe touch base on the wind mitigation part.
Wind mitigation, the only way that I could give the actual discounts on the insurance policy is if I have the wind mitigation report in my hand. I'm happy that, somebody's out there shopping and dad wants to be the inspector on the deal.
Which they always do.
Which they always do. But they can't write the actual document that I need to be able to finalize those discounts to make them official on the insurance policy. So thanks, Dad. You're doing a great job. But we need an inspector to step in. We need the inspectors to step in and write a wind mitigation report for my insurance to work.
And then just to write on that one. So there is different, we actually had this issue not that long ago where we hired an inspector and they actually outsourced it because they didn't have that. Just be aware of that, agents, that when you do hire an inspector, that they do have all insured and bonded, because we don't want them outsourcing to other places that they're not really talking, and that can create issues on your inspection. So remember that. It's rare, but it did happen to me. Anyways, so moving on to the last question for you, Miss Andrea.
Okay.
All right. So, I mean, in this day and age of everything's happening, let's be honest. What credit score does someone really need to actually buy a house here in South Florida?
660.
Damn it, I'm not buying anything.
Yeah, 660. Yes, there's some investors, very few investors that will go lower, but you're gonna get very killed, with the rate. So 660.
Conventional, or is that for everything?
FHA. Yeah.
Okay.
Conventional is 680. Then you can. Yes.
Okay. So it looks like you heard it here. I think so. One of the things that Andrea and ourselves we can actually do as well, and we're not qualified financial persons, but we could guide you a little bit, especially they can, on how to repair your credit. One of the biggest things is getting some financial education, understanding. And if you do have children, teach them now about finances. Don't wait till somebody else teaches them out of college. I wish somebody would have taught me at a younger age, but nobody did. Anyways, so on that note, you want to reach out to Andrea and talk about the process of being qualified, pre-qualified, pre-approved, and how to get your credit score to a better interest rate. Because remember, the better your credit score,
of course,
the better interest rate.
100%.
So, and that's another thing that's a whole nother topic, right? We can go off on that one forever.
Yes.
But,
and just very quick, when we do the pre-qualification, we always run, a soft credit, report is the one that is not gonna discount any points, from your report. Yeah. So then we have an idea where you stand. And then if you have, you're missing 20 points to get right there, we can always look, in detail and see, okay, well, maybe it is because you have, a high utilization ratio on your credit cards. And it's a matter of just, making a payment, and then all of a sudden it booms, 15, 20 points, and then you qualify. Yeah. So then we always do that. To help our clients. Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's one of the things that I actually helped for my credit score just recently, not recently, last year. And this is just off topic, just personal. So always make sure that you have at least the minimum payment set up for your credit card. If you can get more and pay it off monthly, great. Don't ever buy more than you can afford. But just having that, and it helps build your credit.
Yes.
Remember that. Having it in auto pay at least for the minimum for that month. And that way you don't forget.
And keep them under 30%.
Yeah, and that's key.
So that is key. And then there's very easy, to just call your creditor and say, oh, can you just, increase my line of credit? All of a sudden, it looks, on paper that, you have more room, and then it's gonna bump your credit score immediately.
Yeah. And again, credit score. You got to keep tabs on that. We hate it. We are slaves to this credit score, but we got to do it. All right. This is the last one for Alex. All right, senor. Well, this is the last professional question. All right, everybody. So flood insurance separate from homeowner's policy. Do we really need flood insurance?
Flood insurance is separate from a homeowner's policy. And if you're in a flood zone, you certainly need it. If you have a mortgage, you're not going to get by without it. The lender is going to force you to get flood insurance. And we do a flood determination, a flood zone determination on every home that we run a policy on. And that tells us officially if it's going to need flood insurance or not. And that's just based on flood zone. In reality, almost any home, pretty much every home in Florida and everywhere is going to be in a flood zone. It doesn't have to be government sanctioned flood zone. But if you have a condo on the 7th floor and your neighbor's condo floods and that water goes into your condo and damages, you just experienced a flood.
Oh,
it's anytime water originates from outside of your building and goes inside, that's considered a flood.
I did not think of that.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So you could be on the 7th floor condo and still get flooded. Flood insurance covers that.
Oh, okay. But technically, okay. Well, that's another conversation, because I think that gets a little difficult there. But all right. So last question for Andrea, and this is a personal one. All right, Missy.
What?
All right. what is your favorite restaurant or thing to do here in South Florida? What do you love about South Florida? I know
Oh my God! Well, I live.
Latin, but tell
I
us,
mean,
who are you?
I live in the beach. You know, so for me, it's mandatory 1 or 2 times a week. I have to go to the beach.
See.
I have to go to the beach. I love working out. Outdoors, getting my bike, crossing the Venetian. That's what I do. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, absolutely love it. And then restaurant is so hard. We have so many. So many. I would say for greatest steak.
Where are you gonna take me?
Well, we can go to Smith and Walensky, in Miami Beach. Yes,
Okay.
Good steak, yeah, and beautiful view, great sunset, and we get to watch the cruise ships leaving. So yes,
there you go. All right, that's a date.
That's the date.
All right, Mr. Alex, same question for you. Favorite thing to do? Obviously, you can tell he's ripping through his damn shirts. And then restaurant as well.
Wow. All right. Well, I'm gonna have to copy Andrea on this one. I live about 2.8 miles from the beach, and I like to get to the beach maybe 3-4 times a week for a jog. I live a pretty active lifestyle here in South Florida. I like paddleboarding. I like cycling. I participate in triathlons, usually on the beach, like the Las Olas International Triathlon. I love that. So anytime I get out to the beach and do a little workout, have a jog, just spend some time by the water, I love it. And my favorite restaurant is Oceanic on the beach in Pompano.
I've yet to do that one. I've yet to do that one. All right. If anybody wants to take me there, wink, wink. I'll send you some clients who can take me there. All right. Well, again, so now actually, those are the questions that I actually had for them. And we're going to open it up to Facebook and to the and to the public. All right. Somebody said yes, Oceanic. All right. So anybody in the audience have questions for either one of these lovely people? Any questions? Questions?
That's what Alex said about how he goes over the insurance with his people.
Yeah.
There's so many times when I'm like, okay, I need a quote for this house.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, okay, here it is. Boom. And I'm like, I can't read it. I don't know, like, what it all means.
So that's a good question. Mm-hmm.
Bring it step by step.
Yeah.
Each line.
Mm-hmm.
Explain so that they understand it. Because I don't understand it, and I'm an agent.
And you shouldn't be selling it, though. We shouldn't.
No, I understand. But
No, I understand that too. But like, go ahead.
But like on a house that I was just showing, they're like, well, what's the insurance on it? So I had my insurance guy run this number on it. And he just emailed it.
Mm-hmm.
I like
The guidance.
Mm-hmm.
the guidance. Let me call your client. Let me explain to
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. So the question was more a comment rather than a question. What was your name?
Yeah.
Kim. So Kim asked the question. She said a statement. She said she likes if a client gets educated line by line on the insurance as well as the agent, because you walk away with so much confidence. Now when you look at the declarations page, you're not mystified by it. Your eyes don't glaze over. You actually remember some of these terms. And they're very basic. The first 5 terms on a declarations page are very easy to understand, and anyone going through it one time is going to remember them. Coverage A is just structure. Coverage B is additional structures. Then you have medical payments, then you have liability, et cetera, et cetera. Then you get into the small minutia of things and a few add-ons and endorsements. But when you walk through it one time, you have so much more confidence for the next time. Now, if somebody asks you what insurance costs on a certain property, I don't even know until I run the quotes. Yeah. And it's going to be a variety of prices. One might say $12,000, one might say $3,000. And again, if you have an insurance broker that's working with a number of carriers, we work with 74, I could run through the whole gamut of carriers, find the best price one or the best coverage for the price, give you a call, walk you through it. And during that call, a lot of times when people hear some things that they there's an alarm bell that goes off, and then they say, there's no other coverages, or we don't care about the fence, we don't want that covered. I could remove that, and that you've just created a discount for yourself. And you wouldn't know that had nobody walked through it line by line with you. So the price could start at $4,000 and we end at $3,000. And that could be the difference, or that could be a make or break difference for a DTI that helps the deal get across the finish line. And you're much more prepared to have that conversation next time around.
So what he's saying is, everyone, He's available to you. Take his number, take his, and he text him the address and be like, all right, Alex, you said that here's this address. Call my guy. Let's get this to the closing table. Anyway, so yeah, no pressure on you, Alex. All right. Any other questions? Any other questions?
The insurance, it depends how much of the deductible you want to pay or not.
Certainly, there's the wind deductible, hurricane deductibles. There's 1%, 2%, 5%, 10%, or it could be X wind if you don't have a mortgage and you don't want to pay an insurance deductible, or you don't want to pay coverage for hurricane, which I don't recommend. Everyone should have hurricane insurance. Insurance is like a parachute. If it's not there the first time you need it, you probably won't need it the second time around. So the deductibles do matter. Some people, I just ran a condo insurance policy today. The condo was only $200,000. And so for someone like that, we could increase the deductible to 5%, give them a discount, and it's still very cheap for them. On a house that's a couple $1 million, the difference between the 2% and a 5% deductible is from $5,000 to $20,000. So it gets expensive if you suffer that kind of loss. But if it's a small, low-priced condo away from the beach, you could bump it up to a 5% deductible, reduce their insurance costs, and if they do suffer a loss and they have to pay the 5%, it's still affordable to them. Yeah. So that kind of strategizing comes only after looking at a policy a couple times and understanding it. You know, coming back to Kim's comment earlier. So yeah, you're right. Deductibles do matter too.
And the roof wasn't like a. I got issues like 30-year-old roof. They don't want to insure. Unless they have a life for like 5 years.
5 years.
And then the insurance is much higher than the if insurance. But if it's older than 10 years, forget it.
Yeah. So to your question, and I apologize for interrupting you, Alex. We just actually went through that. We had a client with an older roof, and we had an inspector that came and inspected it, and he insured it. He insured that it still had 5 years of life in it. So that was per inspector, right? So the inspector recommended that it had this life left. So the insurance was good. So we got the insurance for the roof and for the property. So.
And when I received that inspection report from your inspector and it shows that there's at least 5 years of life left, there are some insurance carriers that would have not insured it, but showing the 5 years of life, they will insure it for 1 year. Sometimes they will say in 6 months or in 1 month, you have to show us a contract from a roofing company saying that you're working on getting your roof replaced, because older roofs are a high risk for insurance companies for hurricanes and for water damage. That's why. Shingle, a lot of people do have tile roofs, and tile roofs do last longer, but when we do get shingle roofs, those are the highest risk.
What about the materials of the roof? You have like shingle styles, okay, but you have these days you have a lot of metal roofs.
Oh, those
metal roofs.
How does this work, and how does it work together with, let's say, solar panels? And what's the combination of this? Is it insurable or how?
That's a very good question. This guy's been doing some homework, or you've got experience in this. So the question was, what is the difference between roof materials, like for instance, a metal roof versus shingle or tile? What if you have solar panels? How does that impact you? Solar panels a lot of times do protect your roof. Not every carrier has the ability to insure a home with solar panels. I happen to have a handful of carriers that do, and that's very reasonable. So they'll insure the solar panels and the roof together. Some carriers that don't have an endorsement for solar panels, if your solar panels are damaged, that's on you, but the roof is then insured. Metal roofs typically have a life, and I'm not a roofing specialist, but from my experience in the insurance business, metal roofs typically have a shelf life double of most types of roofs, from tile and shingle. So a metal roof is expected to last 40 to 50 years. It's the best kind of roof you could get. Also gets you the biggest discount on your insurance.
And I'm going to answer a question from online. Eric, thank you for logging in and asking questions. Eric is asking Alex, how many insurance do you represent, or is it just one?
That's a good question. I represent 72 carriers. I have relationships with 72 carriers in the state of Florida.
Alex, so I will send you over Alex's information. Eric is actually with Century 21. And he says, thank you for putting this on, everybody, and we can hear you.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Anything that you guys just want to share? I mean, just before we close it up, we have 4 minutes left. Anything you want to share that people should probably know that's coming up? Anything that we should prepare?
Well,
I mean, we are in July, so at the end, almost half the year's already gone, so.
Well, no, I was just gonna say, that our company, Guarantee Rate, is the second biggest, mortgage company in the States, and we have a ton of programs. I know we touch base, on conventional FHA at the beginning and how much you need, but we have all the alternative programs, the non-QM. We can qualify your buyers with bank statements. We have the DCSR program for investors, where pretty much we're just looking at the rental schedule for the property, and that's why we look, and then to make sure that the rental covers the mortgage, is one of the most popular programs that we have. We have also portfolio programs, for the ones that have a good amount on the bank account and they don't want to provide all the documentation, and we just look at at your statement, what you have in the stocks, and then we just use that as your income to qualify you. So, and we also do harmony loans if that's the case. So we pretty much have every single product available.
Thank you, Adriana. Thank you, Adriana. Andrea. All right, any last words, mister?
So for years, everyone's been complaining about high insurance costs in the state of Florida. We finally got a drop in rates.
Yes, forgot about that one.
Maybe about 6 months ago or so, we finally saw the market take a turn down, which is good in our case. We want a down market in insurance. And the insurance market is like the real estate market. It's a freight train. It takes a while to turn, but once it starts turning, it keeps going that way. So right now, I highly recommend everybody call up their insurance agent, reshop their insurance policy, because even if you got the exact same policy with the same carrier, it's probably going to be even less than what you're paying 6 months ago. So on a down market, the more frequently you shop your insurance, probably the better. It's going to be a big benefit to you.
And that is actually really true, because keep in mind that, like he just said, and that's extremely important. This is why I brought them here to you today, because we actually went from 12,000 a year to 3,000. And that's,
I believe it.
That's significant, everyone. Unless you really want to just pay out of pocket and you can afford it, have at it. But I say shop around. Even for mortgages, if you think that you only have like one option, there's not just one option. Just because your friend or your agent actually said, oh, go with this mortgage company. No, shop around. Get better. Yeah, get a second opinion. Always get a second opinion.
In addition to the market going down, Florida has admitted something like 14 new carriers just last year. And so with more carriers in the market, they make the market more competitive. So the environment's changed compared to a couple of years ago, because now we have 25, about 30 new carriers since a couple of years ago. So we have a program that we just started about 6 months ago with a very aggressive insurance company. They're here, they're trying to build up their portfolio, so they're aggressively undercutting a lot of other insurance companies. Companies do this when they enter the market. They don't do this forever. So when you step in at the right time, you can get yourself a really good deal, at least for the next year.
Okay. Yes, one question?
Andrea, how long is the process if you have all the documentation complete to go from somebody is asking for a mortgage and finalize it?
Okay, so
does it take?
how long is the process? I would say it's about 30 days. We can always close before that, but to be safe, when you submit a contract, let's just have 30 days. As long as you have all your documents, handy, you have your income, you have your statement, you can show me, where the down payment is coming from. The pre-qualification, we do it in a day. We submit the loan, and then within a week, you already have your appraisal, schedule. We go to underwriting. So from there to closing, between 21 and 30 days, that's your target. Yes. Yes. Well, yes, AI can help. It also depends, on the loan, and also depends on the property. We have a program, with the company. It's called Same Day Mortgage. I did a loan, 2 weeks ago, and I got the loan approved, with conditions and everything. in 4 days. And that doesn't happen, like, because it takes, longer, for the processor to open it and get it and do the verifications. But it was because the property qualified, the person worked, for a big company, they can do the verification of the employment online, and it was a recent sale, on the same condo. So then I even got an appraisal, waiver. So yes, it can be short, but I always say, let's just play it safe, and let's do, 21 to 30 days, yeah, is reasonable.
All right.
And how about to get pre-approved?
I'll pre-approve, you get pre-approved it one day. Yeah, you just call me, and I'm gonna ask, for your basic, and then the application, we can send it, over the phone. It takes 5 minutes for me to send you the app. In the application, you can fill it out less than 10 minutes. I run your soft pool, I verify, your income, and then I can have an answer for you the same day.
Now, if somebody's applying, let's say their credit score is 650, and then in 1 week, something happens, they change and goes to 700.
Well, by the time, yes. Yes, because when we do the pre-qualification, we just do a soft pull, right? So this is just to start. Once we submit the loan, then we run a hard pull. So if you go from 650, or 660, and then in a week from now, your score bump, that's the one I'm gonna use. Yes, and we can always, during the process, if your score, goes up, we can always rerun and refresh your credit, and then, yes, we will use the latest score. Yeah. Yes, it happens. And it's very important what you're saying, because it also happened in the opposite. I can qualify you, with 700, 720, and then all of a sudden, in the middle of the process, you decide to get a new car, or start, shopping for furniture, and then boom, your score drops, and what happened? So once we, if we have the good credit score to start, make sure you don't use your credit card, you don't open a new account, nothing that is gonna affect you in a negative way. If it's in the positive, we can always refresh.
Good. Everything got
Thank
good
you.
answers, good questions, good answers, everyone. Again, I'm going to have to close this down because we did actually ask only till 2 o'clock, and we got to shut everything down. But I just want to say thank you to the both of you.
Thank
it was
you for
actually
having
a
me.
lot of information that was provided to us.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you all. And I always say, use people in your community. These guys have been a pivot in my what I'm doing. So, that's why they're my vendors. I recommend them. I recommend them to you. If not, I wouldn't have brought them here. I recommend Maggie because they're a great coffee shop. If not, I wouldn't have been here. So people that I bring into the public and I'm actually with them is because I trust them and they trust me, and we have a good relationship, business relationship, and friendship as well. So I will give you Alex's actually information, and then also Andrea's information. And again, tune in for other stuff that's going on here in Oakland Park. That's where I live. But, we do everything South Florida. And again, thank you to everybody that came out today. And I hope everybody enjoyed a good coffee. And yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.